Now, from the London Center in Phoenix, it's the Pat McMahon Show.
We're going to be talking about what the family reaction is to announcements like Elizabeth Edwards, the wife of Senator John Edwards, like Tony Snow's family, wife, 3 kids, what the family's reaction is when there's cancer in the family. And in this particular case, 2 husbands of patients of breast cancer, and their enriching and enlightening stories. I want you to stay with us. When somebody like Elizabeth Edwards and Senator John Edwards, when they have to publicly go on record and say, hey, this is it, we're battling cancer, we're doing that together, and you have to continue to think in terms, as we all do, he's a presidential possibility. Is he going to continue his campaign? How does he continue his campaign? What kind of distractions must there be? And how does she feel about actually joining him on the campaign trail? And you know what we've all asked, what about the kids? Well, when you're a family member and you find out that somebody in the family has cancer, a lot of responsibility, and you're going to find out exactly what that's all about from a couple of people who have lived through that, and who have seen some people in their families not live through it. My guests understand when John and Elizabeth Edwards make those kinds of public statements, when Tony Snow is diagnosed as having had his cancer return. Tell me about your lives before cancer. Marc Rubin and Lewis Elliott. Marc, attorney, competitive triathlete. Before you were aware that cancer was even a part of your family, just tell me about your life.
Well, before cancer, it seems like everything is going along normally, and somebody informs you that somebody in their family or in your family has cancer, and it seems to shake your foundation to the core.
But your family had lived with this, though, for generations.
It has. My wife has lost a tremendous number of people to breast cancer, and right now she has 2 of her aunts living with breast cancer. I lost a grandmother to breast cancer and a father to prostate cancer.
And so obviously the fear must necessarily enter your life.
It does. In fact, my wife and I talk all the time about her health and whether or not she is taking the steps necessary to make sure that that she's in control to the extent that she can be by getting mastectomies. I'm sorry, getting a what's called a mammography, those types of things, a mammogram.
And in fact, today on the Today Show, this morning on NBC, there was a feature about new areas of discovery regarding the use of MRIs in addition to mammography equipment. You're a professional triathlete and a model. Lewis, tell me about your family.
Well, my family was a pretty typical American family. I have an older brother and a younger brother, and in 1995, my mom was playing a tennis tournament, and she went in because she had a sore shoulder, and she was 42 years old, and they did some tests on her, and they said, hey, we don't like something that's going on here, and they took a biopsy and found out that she had widespread stage 4 breast cancer, just like that. And she'd had a mammogram a couple years before, but of course we weren't as careful as we thought we should be. She had 4 sisters and lots of aunts and all kinds of family that was close together, and nobody ever thought that she would at 42 years old, being a tennis player, would need to worry about this. But apparently we were mistaken for sure.
And then
she was basically given, as a 15-year-old, I don't know that we were filled in exactly as to what the facts were, but they told us politely that she had 6 months to live. And she went and did some experimental work at Duke University. She got into a program there. They ended up saving her life, and a couple years later she was went into full remission. But they kind of said with this kind of cancer, again, I don't even know when I say they, the doctors know, but they said it was unlikely that it would, that she would not die of cancer, in the long run.
And so,
2001, fall 2001, it came back, and she passed away in November of 2003.
so you lost your mother after all that time,
Yeah.
and with all of those different kinds of treatments.
Yeah.
You were 15 when you found out.
Yeah, I was 15 when I found out, and I was 23.
How did they tell you?
Well, my dad told me. I remember my dad told me, and it was kind of shocking. Having lived a sheltered life, no close friends had passed away or had any major illnesses. I mean, the biggest thing was maybe broke my arm a couple times falling off my bike, but no, nothing like that. I mean, I don't know that you really conceptualize it at that age.
Do you worry about your health?
I do, and I understand that we're all gonna die of something. I just hope to live a long life, and I do everything I can to stay healthy.
Did you look at the history of the family, the history of your family?
Yeah, it's there isn't a lot of cancer in our family. A lot of people live a long time, and her sisters, when she was diagnosed, all went in that day, because it does run in families, and they're all fine. So that's the good news.